right, legends, we've got some crazy news to talk about. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if I'm going to believe this. We did a live stream talking about it last night. Oh my lord. I've just knocked my microphone into pieces. I've broken yet another microphone, chat. Why do I keep breaking microphones? Anyway, if you were on the live stream, yeet, see that? There we go. Back to JB Hi-Fi. If you were on last night's live stream, lock in, Dougie. If you were on last night's live stream, we covered this. We did a vote on it, which means you've already seen me talk about the Francis Ngannou situation. So, be a good member of the Dougie's Corner community. Just hit the like button, turn the volume down, and let this play in the background. Yeah? Let me get my analytics out there, and I appreciate you guys so much. For the other 200 people that'll probably end up seeing this, Francis Ngannou attacked Dana White. Now, using the word attacked is a little bit provocative. It was more putting my hands on him, putting his hands on Dana White and demanding that he gets a 50K bonus. But wild news coming out of the UFC. Let's let Dana talk about it in his own words. Let's listen to Dana White. Let's listen to Dana White talk about it, and then we'll break it down a little bit more. 67% of the chat believed this story, by the way. Crazy.
Francis Ngannou is a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He plays the...
Now, we've heard this before. Francis Ngannou, he's not a good guy. And back in the day, a lot of people were like thinking that Dana White was just talking trash because obviously Francis decided to get out of the UFC and go to the PFL. But the more that we've sort of seen Francis's behavior down at the PFL, the more believable this Francis isn't a good guy narrative seems to be to me, and I'll get into that towards the end of the video.
The whole, I don't understand the language, and he tries to come off like he's a fucking nice guy, you know what I mean? And people go, oh, it's the language barrier probably. No, there's no fucking language barrier with this guy. He's a...
Dude, Dana fucking hates him. All right, Dana, chill the fuck out, man. Jesus Christ.
Bad guy. I wanted to cut him early. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So
now this story again we've heard before that Dana White wanted to cut him early, but it was Hunter Campbell and the rest of the people in the UFC that wanted to keep him on. Obviously, because at the time, Francis Ngannou hit as hard as a Honda Civic or whatever the UFC were doing back in the day. You know, Francis was on like a 16-fight win streak. They were hyping the shit out of him. Then he went and fought against Stipe Miocic, which he demanded a private jet to go and fly over to fight Stipe Miocic on. I remember this being a real point of contention between Francis and the UFC. Francis was asking for a private jet, and Dana was like, what are you talking about, mate? No. And this is back in the time when Dana was like, I want to cut Francis Ngannou, but the rest of the staff at the UFC were confused by this. Francis is the hardest hitting human being on the planet. He is going to be the face of the heavyweight division. We need him in the company.
He's going in to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston. He knows he's going to fucking kill Stipe. So after the press conference, we're walking down this hallway and he comes over to me and he grabs me. And he says, let me tell you what's going to happen. His English is fucking great, okay? No language barrier whatsoever.
Let me tell you what is going to happen. Dana doesn't say the story like this at all. All right, we all know Francis, soft-spoken, a little bit mumbly. Let me tell you what is going to happen. I'm going to fight Tyson Fury. Nah, this isn't the impression that Dana does. Dana, it's cold-blooded to the point.
When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane.
Right, this is...
to Paris.
Yeah, this is the story.
I said, I laughed and said, oh yeah, he goes, I'm not joking. You're going to book me a private plane. Okay. So we go our own ways.
This story has been out before.
Miocic beats the fucking shit out of him. So that ended that whole conversation. I should have fucking cut him that day. When you're an athlete that's signed by the UFC, you get full access to the
Apex
Performance Institute, and you can eat there for free. Everything's free and do all this stuff. This guy was fucking living there.
That's the thing I have to explain to a lot of people when we get into these debates on the live stream about the fighter pay. People don't realize this, but the Apex is not just a gym. It's not just a training facility. They will give you sleep medication if you're having trouble sleeping. They will weigh you and then give you a full calorie plan to make sure that you come into fight day on weight. And not only that, but they will pre-cook your meals so that you can take them home and put them in your freezer, as well as medical and sports therapy. They do everything for you at the Apex. You could live in Las Vegas, and apart from your rent and electricity and water, everything else would be covered by the UFC Apex. Just when people talk about fighter pay, they often don't know just how many benefits they get by being on the UFC roster and having access to the Apex. It's from meal plans to recovery to training to medical to anything that you could think of being involved in being a UFC fighter is available for you at the Apex.
Right? And he had just fought, and he comes up to my office. I said, come on in, what's going on? And he was pissed off that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus. Francis, you didn't get it because this, that. And he's in my office, and he's arguing with me. The conversation's over. I'm starting to leave, and he grabs me by my shirt.
Fuck.
And like pushes me back in my office. And I said, dude, get your fucking hands off me.
Those were the words that came out of you when Francis and Ngannou grabbed you by the shirt?
Yeah.
Wow.
And, I
would have been like, I hated this shirt. It's too tight.
Well, it's like,
snuggle me, this shirt.
But it's no, I could see in this guy's face and in his eyes and in the way that he's acting who this guy really fucking is, you know?
Now, this is interesting. Francis grabbing him by the shirt, being like, let's get in the oven. Francis being in a horrible mood and being physical with Dana White. This is interesting. A lot of the people who don't believe this are saying, where's the footage? This isn't true. Now, I don't know about you, but I've worked in corporate before. I've been in middle management before. You know, in these buildings, the lobby has got cameras. The sort of middle of the office, there can be cameras in the hallways and some of the boardrooms. Now, upstairs, where the big boys are, and when I've been in management where the big boys are, there's no fucking cameras up there. There's no cameras up where the CEOs sit, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's no cameras upstairs, Dana White's office and Hunter Campbell's office. You know, I'm almost certain that there are meetings that I had that they would not want getting leaked to the general public when it comes to fighter pay, when it comes to fighters that have popped for steroids that do no longer have to be disclosed to the public, and we can usher away their not their sentences, but how long they are sitting out for. We can just quiet that up. You know, there are fighters that do sit out for steroid violations that we don't know about. The negotiations that go on between ESPN and Disney and Dana White, these sort of things are not to be recorded. Ring Girl's coming up to visit Dana White to get contract extensions. Not that I'm implying, you know, just talking to Dana White about their contract extensions. The big boy officers don't have cameras. They don't have cameras. So all the people that I see out there saying like cameras or it didn't happen, I'm sure the training facility of the Apex has got cameras. I'm sure inside the PI has got cameras. I'm sure the front desk has cameras. I'm sure the parking lot has cameras. I'm sure all the downstairs area where all the fighters wander around and the upstairs area of the gym, all covered by cameras. I've never been to the Apex, but I guarantee there's offices upstairs above it all where Dana, Hunter Campbell, and the match room are. There are no fucking cameras up there. I can almost guarantee it.
Then my guy Hunter they were talking about something. It might even have been the same thing. And when Hunter started to walk away, Francis grabbed him by the fucking back of his collar and fucking pulled him back. Said, we're not done talking yet. So this guy's not a good fucking guy. He's a bad guy. Now he's over and he's done a deal with PFL in Saudi Arabia. And now he's asking to fight, you know, me and John Jones need to fight, and fucking, I'm sure they wish they never fucking signed him.
Dude, how many times has Francis fought for the PFL since he's been there? Once. Francis has fought for the PFL since he's been there. Now, to back it up as well, we got former UFC employee Ant Evans has actually done a post about this as well. Now, he says that he hasn't heard this specific story before, but he believes it 100%. He says that Francis was a terror at the UFC offices when he worked there. He'd show up over and over again. He'd walk around the office. He'd stand over people's desk. He'd make the staff feel very uncomfortable. Now, some of it was because he is just a huge man from a different culture that doesn't speak English. But there's the bullying that goes on, and he struck Ant Evans as a bit of a bully. He doesn't remember some of the finer details because it's just shit that happened in the offices 8 years ago. And, you know, I can't remember shit from my own company that I run that happened 8 years ago, the little details. And I have worked with terrible clients that have been nothing but a pain in my neck, and I can't remember all the details of it. But something that he witnessed himself was him standing over the desk of a woman who was working on some of the artwork for the UFC, and he was demanding changes, right? Now, he didn't put his hands on her, but you can imagine the big, thick, girthy Francis Ngannou standing over the desk, just abusing her about the changes that are being made. Almost all the fighters are their worst selves during fight week. There's the pressure, there's the weight cut. But Francis was unreally obnoxious to people that were just there doing their jobs. And these are just to the minions, the regular, us, the worker bees that are around the UFC offices. There you go, some more information from someone else in the UFC that is also backing this up, that Francis is a bit of a prick to work with. And I'll end on this. You know, do I think that Francis maybe grabbed Dana White? No, it sounds like Dana White is maybe exaggerating an argument that might have happened between him and Francis White. I think if Francis had actually put hands on Dana White and grabbed him by the shirt, or put hands on Hunter Campbell and grabbed him by the shirt, I think Francis would have been out of there the next fucking day, to be honest, with the ego that Dana White has. But I do believe that was probably a very heated argument between Francis and Dana White that got verbally abusive. I could absolutely see that happening. I could see that happening over the Jet incident, which I had heard of before. And I could see it happening over bonuses as well, especially considering the way UFC works. Backstage, they do a lot of brown envelope bonuses where they're just paying guys extra money for impressive performances. This does happen at the UFC, and if Francis isn't getting any of that extra money, I can imagine him crashing out. We can see something just publicly between all of us right here. One of the big deals for Francis Ngannou to go over to the PFL was that he demanded something happen over in Africa, PFL Africa, that he became the CEO of. Now, the PFL have invested a lot of money into PFL Africa, and its numbers are not doing great at all. This is the PFL's entire league in Africa, the African MMA League from the PFL. It has got 1,200 subscribers. These are the views that it is getting. It's not good. If you think I am making this up, they have a link here, right? PFL Africa. No, I don't want to join. The official PFL Africa page. The official page of PFL Africa. This is their page. This is how many subscribers they have. The PFL have put a lot of money into PFL Africa, and apparently for Francis Ngannou, it is simply not good enough. It's not worth him going to any of the events. He's not happy with any of it, even though they made him the CEO of it, or the outreach of it, the face of it. They built it for him. They did it all for him. They made him in charge of it. They've done a few events already down there. And he's not trying to promote it or support it at all because it's just simply not good enough for him. Now, if that is not a prick of a move, I don't know what is. So we've got that alone just on its face that we can all plainly see. We have got him saying that he's not very happy with the UFC, but now him saying that he wants to come back and fight on the UFC White House card. The White House card can't be a success unless he is there. We've got him saying that he wants to keep fighting for the PFL, but he hasn't fought anyone since the Renan Ferreira fight. They had to pay Renan Ferreira $2 million for the privilege of fighting Francis Ngannou. Maybe Dana was right. Maybe Francis is a prick to work with. Not saying Dana is a saint, because I know what people will be like, man, I can't believe anything. Dana White doesn't pay his fighters enough. Dana White, I'm not going to believe a man who slaps his wife. Saying that Francis might not be a saint to work with isn't me endorsing everything that Dana White does. I'm not saying Dana White's a legend, yeah? I'm not here glazing Dana White. Maybe they're both ruthless businessmen and kind of arseholes. Crazy news if true. Crazy news if true. Anyway, that's that. If this is your first time here, g'day, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video all the bloody time, every bloody day of the week. So if you want to know when I go live and discuss things like this, like we discussed on the stream last night, and you want to know when new videos drop, hit that notification bell and that subscription button down there. All the bloody legends that support the videos, your names are up on the next slide, as well as the top 10 best pickers in our Dougie's Corner live stream community. I'm number one. It's hard to be number one, boys. It's hard to be number one. I finally made the top 10 top of the top 10. So I'm going to brag about it. You have no idea how hard it was dethroning Jim in the chat. Jim is such a good MMA picker, it's insane. So let me brag about it a little bit, boys, because I am certainly not going to be number one next week. What is this card the UFC are giving us? That is that. Wherever you guys are in the world, I hope you guys have yourselves a great day. Until then, goodbye.